This time where we take submissions from members of the music production amino community, and we listen to your tracks live here with your permission, and we give our feedback and different perspectives for on your tracks, so you can take that back to the studio and get a different idea of how your tracks might sound to others. If you want to get your track on the stream, look for the featured posts that we keep featured all the time in music production amino. It's like a yellow featured thing with a red pencil. MPA Feedback stream 30 will be next, of course. And then come back next week to check out your track. And real quick, other announcements going on. So the producer battle, we're just waiting on the final results, and we're going to get those posted as soon as we can, and get all that stuff. And then the winner of that, of course, one of the best rewards I think on there is the remix competition if they choose to take it, or they could like forego it to like the next second place if they don't want to do it. But remix competition will be coming up after that. But and then we got Radium's lyric competition. But I want to give Blayhub a chance to talk about his upcoming competition whenever you feel like talking about that, Blay. But yeah, look for those. Okay. Yeah, if you want, go ahead and say it right now if you want. But I know there is also, you featured a post about it too.
Yeah, it's all a bit cryptic, so I don't know if we want to reveal it right now, but we could totally do that. So.
No, it's totally up to you. I just wanted to give you a chance if you wanted to. So,
right.
You just want to say something about it? Go ahead.
Oh, basically, it's going to be a competition that is very interesting and very challenging. Well, I think we should reveal everything on the 1st of March. Cool. So yeah, just look out for that.
So there's that little teaser post if you want to see that, but that's already featured. So check that out in the community. Write your lyrics and submit them to the lyric competition that Radium's doing, and stay tuned for the remix competition that I have coming up. Cool. Well, let's get right into this. Just going to say a quick hello to the people in the chat and remind y'all to like the video, please, and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah.
All right, Blay, how many submissions did we get today?
All right. So we first of all, I want to apologize. I forgot to unmute our microphones at the start of the stream, so we didn't hear the introductions. So I just want to say again, today we have as additional guest Emerald. So sorry about that. Okay. So right. So we got 5 submissions today. Cool. And yeah, should we just get right into the first one?
Yes, I'm down. Let's. Who do we got coming up first?
All right. So our first submission is going to be Nexus, which is part of Nexus EP by SuperZrussell. Have fun.
Nice.
All right, so that was Nexus by SuperZrussell. I think I said the name correctly this time. Super Z left us a quick message, which is just promo for Super Z's EP. So I'm just gonna read it. Go check out my Nexus EP. That's it. That's the note. Now we know what to give you feedback
Nice.
on the Nexus EP, or in this case, the Nexus track. All right. So what did you guys think?
Cool. I'll go first, the guild leader here. So I really like this track. I do like SuperZrussell's music. I'm a big fan of like so many members. I'm a fan of y'all's, but not necessarily in the sense I'd be a fan of like my favorite producers, because I say this all the time. I love watching producers get better and better and better, and not only get better every track, but evolve their styles and things. Because I can really like, after you like really pay attention to a member release track after track and you really listen to all their stuff, you really kind of like tune into their world that they're creating, you know. And SuperZrussell is definitely one that I'm a big fan of. So I'm always clicking on. And this is I was gonna agree with Minty, what Minty said in the chat. Minty said this is like a combination of my fave SuperZrussell tracks, and I was gonna say the same thing, but in a different way. But I agree. This is like the best of, in a sense of just really showing off what Super Z likes, the styles that Super Z's into, and how Super Z's merging them together. The mixing was real nice on this too. It's I didn't have like, you know, my headphones turned up very loud. I had them kind of low, and I was listening to a couple of the other judges talk or whatever. But so I'm not gonna say the mix was perfect, because I don't know if it was or not. But the mix was really nice. It was smooth. It was balanced. There weren't elements like jumping out at you unnecessarily. They were just kind of, it was all balanced. Thinking of some negatives to say, honestly, I'm trying to think of some, because I really didn't think of any while I was listening to it. But I'd honestly say, though, if listening back, if there's not any elements kind of like coming out at you and kind of getting a little louder to grab your attention, that is something to think about. You can, if it's noticeably all super balanced and bland, that can also be kind of like, people can kind of tune it out. So you do kind of want the lead instrument to every once in a while come out just a little louder than the rest of the stuff, to say, hey, I'm the lead right now. I'm the lead. Focus on me. And then it can kind of duck back behind, and you can kind of like go to the next element. But for the most part, I didn't really notice that. I just noticed that it was really balanced, really good mix in a sense. So almost too good, if it could be. But anyways, I'm going to pass it over. I didn't really have much negative to say about it. Maybe some of the other judges will. Pass it to Blayhub. What do you think, Blay?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it's this time of the stream again, where I go to give strange feedback that people don't listen to. No, just kidding.
We're always listening, Blay.
Okay, so no, I think it's interesting what you said, that, you know, you were kind of looking for, you know, trying to find something negative you could mention, just to give more in-depth feedback that, you know, makes sense to people. So I think, honestly, there's, at some point with this sort of music, if you keep in that exact style, there's gonna be a point when you've sort of reached peak. Not in the sense that there isn't more to explore, but if you want to make something that is like the things that have already existed, like, to me, this is an example for things that exist. It's just something you listen to it, and it's not like you've just heard this before, you know? That's how it feels to me. So honestly, all I can say is, you've, honestly, good job. I think you did what you wanted to achieve. The thing is just, this is where we get into the issue of, and that's something I mentioned on the community before, at some point. You're entering into something that is less about the music than it is about selling air to people. That's a bit sad, and that's a bit harsh, and people probably will disagree with me on this. But maybe if I explain this a bit further, you can see my point. Go to any top chart song go to anything, not anything, but listen to what it mostly is. And what you'll hear is that really there isn't so much there. It's done professionally. You're not gonna hear like weird stuff like a glitched out microphone. You're not gonna hear distortion. You're gonna hear a clean mix, clean vocals, whatever. That is the professional level you're trying to achieve. But listen to the music and you'll hear it's the stuff you're already doing. There isn't much more to it. It's literally just that. So why is it so successful? Is it really so much better than your stuff? No. I'd say you've reached that quality probably long ago. In the case of you, SuperZrussell, I think that this could just play on any radio station. You know, maybe a couple of changes. I think Retro mentioned in our chat something about it needing more bass. But you know, I don't even care about that stuff. To me, this is already just like anything out there. The only thing that's missing is marketability. That is everything. You're just missing, you're not in the inner circle. That is what you're missing. That's the only thing, really, honest. It's sad. The music industry you're entering, it's already called an industry. It's sort of telling, but it's not about music. It really is not about the music. Why do you think there are so many lawsuits going on about copyright, and they're just ridiculous, and it's just all the same, and they're suing each other for sometimes using a combination of two notes. It's ridiculous, but it shows how similar everything is. So really, it is not about the music at all. It's not about the lyrics, because the lyrics need to be as broad as possible, to be liked by as many people as possible. So really, it's not about the music. It's about how you sell it, and who you sell it to. That is what it's about. That is what most people on MPA are lacking. It's not the music production skills. It's the marketing skills. And those are not just down to you. In many cases, this is really just about, you know, you could call it luck, you could call it whatever, but really it's about finding the inner circle, finding a way into the inner circle. Usually it's people that already are there. If you look at all the new and upcoming people, if you look at where all these stars came from, they didn't come from the garbage nowhere. That's just a story. That is part of the persona. That is part of the marketing. Part of this marketing is to tell you you can achieve this too just by being good. But that's not what it's about.
Well, there's definitely a lot there.
Yeah, it's
agree with Blake, but I would honestly say though
it's a big topic to.
That's a topic for a great topic for a podcast or something. I would say though, on your offense, that you can create your own circles. You can create your own crowd. You can be the new in factor. It really is at some point up to the music. If you create something that's never been heard before, if you create something that's at levels that the
if you create something that's never been heard before, we're talking about something else. But I'm talking about this music, and this music is not something that's never been heard before.
We could easily say that same thing about a lot of the tracks we're going to hear today. So I just want to honestly say that that's something to look into for sure. But at some point, it is also about. And I believe SuperZrussell enjoys making music. So it's like what you said at the very beginning of your feedback, sometimes we just achieve the goal we had, which was to make a track that does sound like something that we like on the radio, to see that we can do it.
Of course.
And when we can do it, and we share it at a feedback stream and stuff, it's like, yes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, basically what
it's hard to get big and famous and get in that inner circle. Yes.
I just want to, before this gets dragged out too long, I just want to finish my point real quick, because I fear it's getting lost and people will misunderstand what I'm saying. So what my point was with this is you got to think about what you're actually doing, and and who you're looking up to, what you're looking up to. Because what I mean with all of this, what I'm saying essentially, what it boils down to, is really just this. Essentially, you're imitating a product, which is not about the thing that you think it is about. That is the issue with this sort of music. That is what I'm saying. You've achieved the goal. What do you want to do now? As you can see, you're not there where you expect to be, which is that sole reason. So what I'm saying is, what I recommend, what I recommend is actually go out there, challenge yourself, challenge your ideals, and look to what else could really be possible and push the boundaries of what you think is the thing to achieve. And at some point, if you really allow yourself to do that, you'll notice there's way more to music than what you've ever thought was possible. And this is not even scratching the surface. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying it can't technically be anything else than what I just said. We've heard the product a million times. Anyway. Yeah.
Definitely. I want to go ahead and pass it to Emerald. I mean,
Yeah.
Blaze got good points. All I'm saying is it's and what's neat about Blaze's feedback is it's coming from a perspective of someone that doesn't really listen to electronic music as his favorite style of music. So it's good to have that feedback. And that's what I love about having the different judges and stuff here. But I want everyone to really follow your own heart and your own gut too when it comes to like, okay, I'm passionate about electronic music, and then really take what Blaze's saying into consideration and be like, okay, what is Blaze? How can I relate this to my passion for electronic music? Because they're not as passionate about the music that you're passionate about, Blaze, and you're not the same passionate about the music they're passionate about. But
Yeah.
there's a balance there because again, all the music you do hear on the radio, Blaze would honestly say the same thing to a lot of them too, to be honest with you. So with that caveat, I would
That's the
pass it over
thing.
to
I
him.
would. I whenever I listen to a Justin Bieber song, whatever, I'm sitting there. Oh wow, I would rip this apart on feedback streams, but it's making billions of dollars. So
Right. So you got to know your goal is kind of what Blaze's saying.
All right. Yeah. So
Is what I
Emerald, it's your turn. Sorry, that got dragged out of there.
how'd that timer
Okay. Yeah, we were trying to keep it to like 3 minutes. Okay. So I'm gonna focus on like I guess a bit more technical stuff, but definitely what Blay and Guild said about like marketability, that would definitely be a thing for you, Super, because I follow you on SoundCloud. You kind of post a lot on there, like at least once a week. And your songs are good quality, but I feel like they could get like that 1% better. Like they could get that 1% better to kind of make it like that professional standard sound, I guess. Like with the master, I guess it was. Let me just say I really like this song. I listened to it on SoundCloud the other day. I'd give it like a 10 out of 10. But for the master, it isn't like perfect. It's pretty good, but like I heard a little bit in the mid range for the frequencies that had a good amount of white noise. I'd recommend like a little bit of EQ around there. And then with the I think it's a Reese bass. I think that's what they're called. Like the really low end bass. And like I don't even know what part of the song it is, but it's kind of clipping a lot. It's kind of clipping. I'd recommend a bit less clipping or like distortion, whatever you use. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. And then my last little point was the wubs, like the little dubstep wubs in the drop are a bit repetitive. They aren't super repetitive. They kind of just like go 5 or 6 times and switch on to a new thing. So I don't know, maybe like again about that like 1% more to get like a professional sound. Maybe every few wubs add a little like transition wub or something in there, and that would get like that 1% more. That's really all. So, Radium, you got anything?
Nice.
Okay, so I will not lie. I wasn't paying full attention because I was dealing with other stuff. Yes. Don't check the curator chat, by the way. I did like your track. I didn't write down my notes, but I do remember that I really, really like your track. I don't have that much criticism. I think it's more Nike because I wasn't listening completely. But yeah, I like what I heard. I like there was a lot of variation that I was not expecting. I like the sound. It was very in the higher end of the EQ spectrum, I'm gonna say, but it actually sounded good and not too dry to me. So personally, I liked it. Like I'm gonna say that much.
Nice. Um,
All right.
Nice. That's all I was gonna say. I was gonna say that last time too. Just a quick note. I was like, I don't need to like transition it back to Blay. I was like, Blay, you can just take it from radio.
Yeah.
Anyways,
When I'm paying
sometimes
attention.
I like to throw a little summary of what everyone says, but I don't need
Yeah.
to do that. So I'll just pass it back.
That was already a summary. Nice.
I know.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, so let's move on. Should we move? We should move on, right? Let's move on.
Yeah,
Our
let's,
next
go for it.
our next submission is going to be The Rave by Kitsune Power. Have fun. All right, so that was The Rave by Kitsune Power. I'm going to read the note that Kitsune left us, which is, that's a Yoda meme, which is, this is one of my ideas I'm working on. One of my ideas I'm working on. Also, new you coming soon. All right. That wasn't very informative about what we're talking about, but anyway. So, what did you guys think about The Rave Guild? What did you think?
All right. Okay, so I'm, and I was just talking to the judges about this too, and thing, but I definitely trying to think of new things to say each time, so I'm not always saying the same thing. But when we hear tracks from a member repeat over and over, like, and we notice the same things, you got to give everyone time to evolve or whatever, and actually get better. But because it's just practice makes perfect. But it's or practice gets you closer to perfect, anyways. But so it's hard not to think and quickly want to say the same things that you've heard us say before. So I'm definitely going to try to think of other things to say and give more general feedback for everyone to take into consideration, and kind of more clarify some of the things we kind of harp on here sometimes about, oh, it needs to evolve, And I think that is ultimate, even if it kind of like, people are like, okay, they're always talking about our music needs to change in the sense of like, almost like change style, but we never mean change genre. We mean push your genre forward, because as listeners, I'm a avid listener of music just as much as I'm a producer of it. And I listen to music all day, every day, and so a lot of my feedback is coming from the perspective of not just a producer that listens to tutorials all day, also someone that listens to music and the freshest music on the charts every Friday. Listen to the newest tracks that coming out in electronic music mainly, and really picking up on what's trending and what's popular and how mixes are getting so clean, and even what producers are doing to dirty up their mixes because they're too clean, and all those little tricks and trends. So when I click over to a track on MPA, I easily notice, just as if it was one of my tracks, and I easily notice the difference, because I'm listening to the best of the best, in quotations, of the charts and the labels that are releasing. And then I'm listening to the music that I'm hearing here. So of course there's the mixing that could be taken to another level. But way more than that, it's the and Blaze always talking about this. It's the we've already heard it before, like kind of thing. Like, okay, pretty much predict how this track's going to end. It is a good track for its genre, but we're picking but it's not pushing the genre forward. They're not trying anything new, something that hasn't been heard before. One of the most common things is sound design. People are trying new sounds, but even better to do is try new modes and your scales and harmonies and melodies, and elaborate more on the musical, the song itself, instead of just tricks. But the combination of those two together is a great way to move your genre forward and really reach out to other genres and bring tricks in from those genres over. I'm like experimenting with, I love psytrance, but I don't make it, but I love the elements of psytrance. So I'm trying to bring those elements into this drum and bass project I'm working on, and just kind of doing things like that as a way to push your genre forward. And things that we've talked about before, break your song down to just the core elements, just a piano or a guitar, and see if it plays good, see if it's singable, and you can hum it, and then put that back out into with the sound design and mix it together. I mean, do both the best you can, and you're going to get a lot better song. So I would just say now more directed towards this song in particular, KP. Again, I think it's really simple. It's not reaching any new boundaries or whatever, but and I think but if you're going to keep it basically the way it is, I think it just needs another mix down. You need to make it a little fuller. Really use like Span, that free analyzer that everyone uses. Analyze other people's tracks and then go look at yours in your genre, like tracks that you're a fan of, tracks that you're inspired by, and you hear them, you're like, oh, that's so good, that's just good mix. Go analyze that track and then look at yours. You're going to notice differences. You're going to notice them, and that's going to make you think a little bit different about your mix. But all right, I am going to pass this over to Layhub.
All right. Yeah, I think a lot of what you said is true. I think for my part, I just want to say basically the feedback I gave SuperZrussell basically applies to this as well. Though I do personally hear a couple of more issues that I can identify with the mix as well. I think that's where it's most problematic, probably. Also, probably with just the choice of some sounds. What I want to say though is just to drive the point home a bit more, is something I said to the others while we were listening was, even I know this track. I've heard it a million times before. So this specific chord progression, this harmony that you used in the melody, this is something I believe every electronic producer ever has done at least once. Actually, me included. When I started out, I did something with the same harmony. It's just something you get to at some point, I guess. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think actually, that's the thing. I can't really what I'm telling you must seem odd to you because it seems like you're at the top with this stuff. And you are. It's just there's so much more to other music outside of that that you don't realize from what perspective I'm talking about this. So for me, this doesn't do anything for me. And it doesn't for a lot of other people, but those other people that you don't notice. And to be fair, they're the fewest people on the planet, probably. Not saying, oh, this is like the super special few people, but I'm saying there's a vast majority of people that, of course, I mean, there's a reason why there's the top charts being played billions of times, of course. So just saying, the feedback I gave Super C applies here as well. So really what it means for you is you're basically doing a really good job with this style of music in this specific setting. Yet what I'm asking is, what does this really mean? What does this mean from the from the perspective of a creative person? What are you doing? Is this the essence that you want to express yourself with? I'd argue you can't really express yourself with this, not to the extent that you could if you explored more aspects to this. And I think you can take this further. It's just no one ever does it. And I'm wondering then, what is your ability to really revolutionize this sort of music and how to really push it further? I think not a lot of people can, and I think that's where this issue lies. So I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying you're not even trying because you're not looking outside of what is possible. So that's just an idea for you to think about. So I'm going to give it over to Emerald now.
Okay, so I actually really like this song, but going off what Blaze said, it does sound like I've heard it before. I don't know the name of the subgenre, but like this is the kind of stuff that like Martin Garrix, David Guetta, those kind of producers make.
Definitely.
It does sound good though. I was kind of jamming, bopping my head a bit. It was good. My favorite part was like the build up. I thought that sounded good, but with like some technical feedback, I guess. I felt the mix was like a bit too quiet. I feel like if you took it up like a few more decibels, it could be fine. I guess basically with my mixes, I tend to do it at negative 12. No, not 12. I don't know, but like a bit under zero. Try to get as close to zero as possible without going over, and keep it a bit under.
Mhm.
And then that's pretty much it. I didn't have too much to say. I did like this. I'd also say try to like I Blay and Guild also said the same thing. Like it is very generic for this subgenre. I feel like I've heard this before. So like try to add a little spice to it. Like we were joking in the chat I saw about more wubs. I don't like that could be an idea. Like you could use that. Like maybe include another subgenre in this genre and make your own subgenre thing. Basically like spice it up, and that would make it like perfect. But I like this song and it's good. So yeah, that's it. Radium.
I will start by giving everyone a tip of the day, which is called stop asking for feedback if you cannot handle the feedback. You're welcome. I will continue with my feedback. Okay, let's start by saying, objectively speaking, okay, your track is good. Okay, I'm saying this, like, I don't know, recorded, printed somewhere, your track is good. But the issue is your track has been made 1,000 times before. See, that's the little thing. Like your track will play on the radio, it will play at a club, but the one will know your name, the one will know that you made it because it sounds like literally everyone else. Emerald mentioned David Guetta, and I was like, oh my god, yes, it sounds like something David Guetta would make. And that's the issue. You sound like everybody else. That's why we say with trying new things and experimenting and coming out of comfort zone, because it's important. We were talking about marketing earlier, and it's important to have a brand, and it's important for your brand to be recognizable. And one way for it to happen is through the music. You want to be the trendsetter, not the trend follower. So if I could give you advice, is really experiment, really try new things, really listen to music genre you never thought you would ever listen to, and try something else. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Don't stop the genre that you're doing, but don't be scared of doing something that sounds different. And even if the feedback then isn't the best, at least you try something different. So you can try it again and again and again and learn how to take feedback better. You're welcome.
All right. Yeah, please no one get too offended by the feedback. I know we have definitely all friends here and community, and we're just what's neat about it is challenging feedback actually does make us grow, regardless of how even accurate it is. It's just something we're always going to think about when you get feedback. You think about that when you go back to the studio, and all it really does is it causes you to think differently and change in a good way, I think. So I hope no one gets upset about our feedback. And
no, I have not either. All right, so should we move on to our next submission?
Let's do it.
All right, our next submission is going to be Reverse by Purelemon. Have fun. All right, so that was Reverse by Purelemon. Purelemon did not leave us a note, so we're just going to get right to the feedback. All right, so what did you guys think? What did you think, Geld?
Cool. We're actually on like a little bit of a delay on the song there. I was actually listening to the very end. I like the little lead you did at the end there for sure, Purelemon. That was pretty cool. I would say that and I'll let some of the other judges probably bring it up too. But I would definitely say this is it does sound like something would be in like a video game. I don't know exactly which games. I don't play many games, but like it does sound like something but not in a bad way. Like I know we give that feedback to a lot of this style of music when y'all submit it, and you're like, hey, well, that's the kind of music I make necessarily. And it's not necessarily even for music. I know that video game sound is really popular in electronic music, and people take it to different levels. And some of it, some people go all the way. It's just straight 8-bit, and some people blend the two really well. And then some people just in this cute kawaii styles and stuff like that. It's a big thing. I particularly I was a fan of it when I first got turned on to it, but then I quickly got kind of tired of it. I didn't listen to it that much, but I still like it a lot. I like when people really go all the way with it and just kind of really kind of almost give you like a nostalgic feel, kind of because of the sounds they're using. Like the video game sounding, like more like the old school video game kind of sounds, what I'm kind of talking about. Purelemon, I think you mentioned Lim in the chat. I think you mentioned you produce your stuff mobile on a mobile phone, mobile device and stuff. That's always, I don't know. At some point, I know these devices are getting really powerful, and someday there is going to be a full-featured DAW on like an iPad or whatever. But I know it's as of right now, it's still pretty challenging to make decent music on mobile devices. You really got to get good with all the apps, and you got to get good at combining the apps together. You don't use just one app. You get like these master apps that basically host all your other plugins on your devices, and you can kind of make a DAW of your own DAW on mobile devices. So I don't know at what level you're doing it, but I know it's challenging. So that's kind of a note you could leave when you submit some songs. If you're still releasing on mobile, let us know. Like, okay, this was produced on mobile. We kind of give, okay, it's good for a mobile song for sure. But I think if you were to take this to a full DAW, if you haven't already, I think you can clean it up. You can add a lot more life to it, like make it more humanized. It's easier to control the MIDI data and all the parameters when you're on a computer, and you can really dive in there and make it more human, because to me it was just too much of like a sequencer style song that doesn't have enough human feel to it, with volume automation and the way the notes line up on the grid and stuff. But as far as the sound design goes, if that's your target, if you want the 8-bit style sound and stuff, I think you did a pretty good job. But personally, I think blending the two, or making it a little thicker, giving it a little bit more of a modern sound, but still having all those 8-bit sounds is what I'm a little bit more of a fan of. But I noticed that some producers aren't going for that at all. So it's really just up to what you want and what you're trying to target it. So anyways, good job. I would say just humanize the track somehow, or future tracks anyways. All right, I'll pass it over to Blay.
All right. Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, Guild. I think it would probably fit a game pretty well. It could work because you didn't really have an idea of what it could be for. I could see this for any sort of jump and run kind of game, like a platform kind of game, stuff like that. Or something like a small 2D fighter game, something like that could totally work. Maybe in a racing game. It's a lot of those kind of small size, low graphics quality kind of thing. Like not low graphics quality, but simple graphics. Like mobile games and stuff like that could totally work. Could work really well for it. I do think it is very repetitive, which if it is for a game like that, where you don't really want to focus on the music, it's just there to sort of give you sort of backdrop and stuff like that, then that is good, of course, but just for listening to it, to me, it's not doing enough. It's not doing enough. That said, though, I do see a bit more uniqueness to this one, though. So I think it could be something that does stick out a little bit. Though I have heard things of a similar style before, just not so much. But I don't know if that is just where my perspective on this stuff is limited. I don't know. I think it's kind of nice. I just think it's the sort of thing where it's very impressive doing it on mobile, but to me that is not justifying a good review, so to say. Like if if you make something with a lot of restrictions, sure, it's impressive, but if the end result isn't really that great either, then it's impressive for
Right.
the way you did it, but that's not praise for the end result. It's just, oh wow, you did a really good job of getting so far. But it's a good demonstration. It's not really something I then listen to, because when I listen to something, I want to listen to it because I really like it and I think it's really well done, and not because, oh look, this is kind of gimmicky. Someone did this with that. So I think it's important that first of all, if you can get rid of some restrictions like that, that would be great. I'm not saying you need to have expensive software and stuff to make music, but I think with this style of music, you're inevitably going to have to do some sort of upgrade, you know. Of course, if you now decide to actually, you know, write something from a more compositional side of view, with more thought put into harmony and melody and less on like the beats kind of thing, beat making stuff, then I think you got a really good chance at making something where it really doesn't matter if it was done on mobile or not. But I think it would still be good if you looked into, you know, doing stuff with a computer at some point. But yeah, that's, you know, just keep doing what you do and, you know, improve and stuff. Just keep in mind that there's a limit to what you can do with it when it comes to this specific style of music. I mean, any style of music, but there are true limitations that you're going to run into, that you probably have run into, and it's going to hold you back. So don't rely on it forever.
We're just waiting for big companies to port over. I mean, at this point, iPads with the new M1 chips and stuff are tough enough to run full-on DAWs. They just don't have on the platform. The developers haven't made the DAWs. They haven't ported them over. So we're waiting for the magical day when Ableton and ImageLine and Steinberg and all these guys decide to port their DAWs over to the Apple device, iPads, because then you can hook an iPad, the new Pros, up to a keyboard and mouse, and you can produce on the go. Because I love mobile production. I'm not saying that you just got to really be tech savvy, know what you're doing, or have the gear. If you don't, I mean, I would rely on older computers to do full DAWs because you still have more functions than you do on mobile devices. But and if you are going to do mobile device, look up. Just look up, I forget his name. This is Jamaican dude on YouTube that he's all about the mobile devices, or he makes reggae music anyways. And he's all about the mobile devices. And he knows his stuff and learn how to link all the devices. Because you can actually get really creative on your mobile device, much like analog synths. People go in a modular sense that are limiting yourselves to modulars and other gear, DAW-less style of production, where you're actually limiting yourself. It is harder to make music that I like to listen to anyways.
You know, I think the only limitation of mobile really is the form factor, that you're relying on touchscreen. You can connect a mouse and keyboard, but apps are programmed for it. For mobile, they just don't give you the opportunity to stuff. You know, it could totally work. Right. I mean, mobile stuff is getting more powerful by the year. There's going to be a point where we can just run any operating system on a phone. We actually sort of can already, but not really. There's still restrictions just on the technical side. But it should be possible. But at that point, it's not a mobile anymore. Just a pocket computer, like an actual pocket computer with just Windows 10 on it, you know. It could totally work. There's just still restrictions with, you know, hardware you need additionally. But I can see it happen. It's just, you know, it's just limited by the form factor.
For sure. The top competitive DAWs on the PC versions, like the personal computers, like Mac and Windows, I mean, you know, everyone knows Live and FL Studio and Logic. Everyone knows they are, because of where they've come from and their history and the thing. It's gonna make music funner to make if you can just do like anything you think of and it's just easy. When you have limitations, you might get hung up on them. You might not be realizing it's frustrating. But some people out there, they love that challenge. So it's interesting to see the limitations people put on themselves. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know.
All right, so Emerald.
Okay. So this song, I liked it. It wasn't really my cup of tea, I guess. Like, I don't go out and listen to this kind of music, but from what I heard, I liked it. It was okay. One of the main problems I had with it was it sounded very like repetitive. I guess like there was very minimal change between the different sections of the song. But again, like they were talking, apparently you made this on a phone. That's impressive, but like people who are just listening, like just find your stuff randomly, they don't know that. So
Right.
like I guess what I'm trying to say is like add, I guess, more originality to the track. I'm not sure like how much that's possible on a phone. It's definitely impressive that you're doing this on mobile. Like I remember I used to use, before I had FL Studio, I used to use this online website DAW. It was like ran through Google Chrome. It was very bad. And I remember like, wow, I can't believe I did that on a free software. And I look back at it now and it's like absolute trash. I'm not saying your stuff's good. Your stuff's good and it's being made on a phone, and that's impressive. But like
Right.
I'd definitely recommend, if you have the money, investing in a better DAW so you have more or so you have less restrictions, I guess, as like a phone would have, and like a free DAW and everything. And it would allow you to do a lot more. Basically, with a fully functioning DAW, you can literally make any sound imaginable and not imaginable as well. So like, basically, my points are add less repetition, and maybe purchase a DAW to make just the overall quality better, I guess. But it is good, and I liked it, and that's pretty much it.
Cool.
All right, Radio.
All right. Radio.
I like your track. I really, really liked it. I think, as Emerald mentioned, it's very impressive that you did all of that on a phone. And I won't criticize too much because I know it's a phone. And it's like, could you have done maybe something more? Yes. But at the same time, I feel like you're still finding your style and you're still exploring it. And I hear it in your music because it varies a lot and it's very creative, and I really, really like it. And I agree that it'd be nice to see what you will do with a DAW, because I feel like you already have, I don't know what DAW you use and how it works, but I feel like you already have a style, somewhat of an identity, and I feel like you already understand how you work musically. So I wonder what kind of work you would do if you had a full-on DAW in the future. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on what you do and what equipment you acquire in the future. But this song, personally, I don't have that much feedback. I just really, really liked it, especially when you take into consideration what you use to make it. I think it's quite impressive for me.
All right.
For sure. All right.
Sorry.
So-
Go
no,
ahead, go.
I'm in the habit of saying it, but I like to try to make these as full of information. And I don't know everything,
Yeah.
of course, but I always like to say things that y'all make me think of while y'all are talking. So, I mean, I would just honestly say one more thing about the, I mean, definitely if you have the money, I like how Emerald said that. Definitely if anyone has the money, but if you don't, keep working with your limitations and then get as good. But yeah, definitely if you have it, it's a good investment. Never turn it, never download it illegally. It's a good investment. You buy a nice tool, you're gonna appreciate it more, and you're going to learn it more because you've invested money into it, and it's something that you continue to use. And we're not, of course, endorsed by any software out there, but definitely go with the one that it fits your budget and it fits your workflow, and that you can find plenty of help and tutorials on. And when you get a DAW that more people use, you have a better chance of finding help with questions you have about it. So when you have the time, or when that time comes and you get a better DAW limit, definitely you're going to have a lot of fun. But don't let your phone or your mobile device feel like you can't make music because you're just held by too many limitations. I would say use your mobile device as just like I was kind of saying earlier, in comparison to how people use modular synths. Just really get into all the fun, cool apps you can actually get on mobile, because there's a lot, and the different apps spark creativity, and there's a bunch on mobiles, bunch of developers and bunch of different ways of thinking about making music. So when you're using mobile, you can actually use it to your advantage and just kind of take advantage of all the different unique ways people are making production apps and stuff like that. So anyways, it's really fun.
If you
Always have fun.
iOS, you could try out Andrew Huang's new DAW, I guess, like that they released together with like a company. It's interesting. It's still a mobile DAW, but just more options.
Yeah, for sure. I think the master app that everyone uses on mobile is called AUM. It's AUM or AUM or something. It is like a host. So you open up
no idea. I just know there's some FL mobile version, but
Yeah, I like it. I don't use it much because I have it's just the limitations. But it's neat to know that you can be out on the go if you're like one of those people that are like taking a bus or something, or sitting at school or out waiting for something, or even in line at the grocery store, to pull out your mobile DAW, come up with a neat melody, get home, throw it in your main DAW, and work around it. That's a neat thing you could do. I wasn't able to do when I was growing up. So definitely use the mobile devices as an extension to your workflow and your DAW.
Yeah.
There's definitely I didn't like it. Yeah. All right.
Should we move on then to our next submission, which is going to be Bleed Me Out by Chika M. All right. Have fun. All right, so that was Bleed Me Out by Chika M. And it premature, it just goes quiet and then there's a couple of seconds of silence. Okay. Anyway, so Chika left us a note, so I'm gonna read that right now. It's a long note, as we're used to by Chika, but it's actually nice because we do get a lot of insight into the thoughts and processes behind the scenes, which is nice for giving feedback. Alright, so here's Chika's note. So this is a song that's inspired by Halsey, but the song is called Castle. I've been trying so hard to make a song cinematic pop like for some time now. Jeez. I think I nailed it. That's a lot of words. I think I nailed it, but I think also now it's so cinematic to the point it's more for movies and TV shows. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. It's really dramatic, and the lyrics are even darker as well. It's about mental abuse and physical abuse. I had singers and myself for this. However, it was just more better. It was just more better as an instrumental. So I left it as one in the end. This song took me an entire month, and yeah, that's not even close to a lot, but I'm just disappointed that I couldn't sing on it even though I tried on demos. Never, I'm sorry, what? Never worked, neither did other vocalists could have sang it, so unfortunate. Credits, all me, so all Chika. Sorry, sometimes I don't know what you're writing. I'm so sorry, Chika. Okay, so what did you guys think? What did you think, Geld?
All right, I definitely liked the track for sure. I mentioned to the judges during the thing, it was probably my favorite of the day. Partially because it's the most, it is refreshing to hear different styles on our stream, at least. I mean, I listen to a lot of mainstream electronic myself throughout the day. So when y'all are submitting those songs, of course, you know, I listen to that stuff too. But when you hear something different, it's always really refreshing. But that's not the only reason why. I think actually creatively, this was the most creative track of the day too. It was you didn't know what was coming next. Like, you're listening to it. Even if you're more, even if you listen to more of this style, which was just an instrumental. So those wondering why it was so empty in certain parts, it was like perfect spots for the vocalist to shine. And you want to keep instrumentals that are designed for vocalists, you want to keep them somewhat empty and bare. It really does help the vocalist if there's not too much other stuff going on. Makes it hard for when there's too much other stuff going on, it makes it hard for the singer to be creative. So this is perfect for a vocalist, but it needs to be the right vocalist. You know, this is really good. It reminded me of something that would have been on. I don't know the name of the album, but like Kanye West's like more experimental album that he did, where the beats were just kind of crazy and he was screaming all the time. That something that would have been on that. Something that has so much character that it doesn't need to be mixed in the same way that your most mainstream pop song is mixed. It can be mixed a little more creatively. Certain elements can be pushed to the back a little bit more. The reverb can be kind of more up in your face. I don't know. It had a really. I mean, you make dark pop. You claim you try to make dark pop all the time, which you definitely have. You know, you have that element to your songs, which is the dark element. Pop is really getting the pop side of it's really going to be on how you finish the songs. It's only pop if it really like clicks every one of those pop check marks off every one of those boxes to make it a pop song. But for the most part, until it does that, it's kind of in the experimental realm of things. It's really a neat song. With the right vocalist, it could be a dark pop song, something that done right. I know a lot of songs you'll get a vocalist to do something on it, and we'll give you feedback like, oh, it's almost good. I hope you're not just throwing all those away. You need to finish. Everyone needs to finish their songs. You know, everyone gets to that point where they're like, oh, you know, I've got 300 songs on my computer that I need to finish. Well, you're never going to finish them at that point. It's too daunting of a task to think about. You need to just take one at a time and say, what am I going to do to finish this song, and like finish it, or break it down and take the best parts from it and move on to the next. But you've written a lot of good stuff, and I would hate for this to be like, oh, try to get your best vocal on it. If they don't do a good job, kind of give up on it. No, you really just need to spend time on it and get the right vocalist for it, or do the vocals yourself and finish it off, because it's actually a really, really good song. I think you took this to the studio and pitched it as like, hey, I got this instrumental for so-and-so, enter big name here. they could do something with it for sure, and it'd be a hit. So good job on the instrumental. Again, the mixing it's good for the stage that it's at, because you got to leave so much of those decisions up for the end after you get the vocalist on there. You don't want to just mix it all right now necessarily. It's really good. So good job, Chika. Pass it over to Blay Hub. What do you think, Blay?
All right. Yeah. I think the main point I want to talk about is the whole cinematic stuff for movies, for TV. But first off, yeah, I think it's interesting what you do. It's a bit repetitive, but I'm not gonna ever shut out about that, I guess. I think this definitely would be better with vocals. It seems very dry without it. For that, it would need more in terms of music and in terms of melody and more harmonic changes, because there isn't really that much of that there. I think I just wanna I don't wanna like make anyone sad or say the ideas you're having they don't work for that. I don't want to like ruin anyone's dreams, but I don't see this working for TV or for a movie. Here's the issue why. I'm not saying it's impossible to have a song play on movies or in a TV show. That's typical. That is for soundtracks. I differentiate between film score and film soundtrack. So to me, how I see it, this is not the law, but so film score is music which directly relates to the plot of the movie, which directly which belongs to what you see on screen. So to the point where sometimes edits could be synchronous, or where the music is an active part of the storytelling, which basically is background music which leads through the entire movie. A soundtrack to me is individual pieces of music which fit alongside the story in certain places. So the score is more the identity of the movie, and the soundtracks can be more of an obvious moment of like, this is a song now. So this could work, but any song could work that way. You've probably heard a movie where they just played some song that the director really liked that month. That's usually what it's like. It could work for that, because anything could work for that. But if you want to talk in the sense of this is music for film, made for film, for the story, I don't really see it. It could be, of course, but you gotta remember that for that, one of the key elements is to actually have a good means of capturing the full emotion of a scene. So your idea of going to directors and selling them this track so they can use it in their movie, that's not going to happen in this way, because if they select tracks to be on it, they're gonna invite bands, or they're gonna pay for a license to play a song that they already know. So if you want to make background music, if you want to make film scores, if you want to score music for a film, it's a completely different thing from what you're used to. And you've got a taste of that already with the scoring competition we did for Bird Blood. And I think I remember telling you the same thing. It felt like you treated it like a music video. So you made a song, but to me that is not film music. That's just a song played on top of images. So there's a lot that goes into telling a story with music, and there's a featured post on Amino, and there's also a video saved in our recommended playlist here on YouTube. If you go on the YouTube channel, on the MPA YouTube channel, and scroll down a bit and find the playlist that says must watch, recommended, whatever. There's a video right at the top, which is someone talking about music being a language. I think everyone should watch this, but I think you should watch this specifically. No, everyone should watch this, but which talks about music being a language, and I think this applies here as well. There's a certain accent or dialect, or a certain part of the language you need to speak for specific applications, and with movies it is very different from what you're used to in this case. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm saying you have a different idea of what movie soundtracks should be or could be. Not saying it can't happen, not saying there can't be some niche movie which makes use of music like that, which then, of course, can be a score. But I think in the sense that you're talking specifically just from things we've talked about and things I've seen you say on streams before and chats, I don't really see it working so well. That's not to be said that it can't happen. Like I said, I'm not discouraging anyone or anything. Just saying there's a difference. There's other things you have to keep in mind. So I don't see this being very lucrative for a director who wants his movie scored with music that fits like a scene where the music has to be subtle in the way it's expressing certain things. So, but yeah.
Definitely. I mean, if it's something you want to get into, you can always add a lot of your tracks to a catalog or the right one. Look into that before you just go signing up for the wrong catalog or service. But you put your tracks in these sync licensing catalogs, and people look through those when they're searching for the right song, and you never know if something you have someone hears just the smallest part that they want to use, but pitching it's going to be really hard yourself because there's just so many things.
Yeah, some short films may use this, which is more likely because they're short and they just need like a 3-minute track or something, and they don't really need like a score, or they don't know that they could have like a full score. So that could work. You could get lucky with that. But I'm talking in the sense of like an actual like TV show or movie. It's probably not gonna happen.
Right. It needs the vocals, if anything, before you think of that, because
yeah, but even then, there's just it's unlikely.
It could be like the main theme song at the beginning of the show or something of like the new Dawson's Creek or whatever. I think I'm dating myself. You never know. But yeah, I think that it's not the first thing I hear when I hear this song. I don't hear that. I think it's more just being a pop song or something like that, or a radio song.
Yeah. But. Yeah, I'm not getting movie vibes, is basically what I'm saying. It's a song that could play in a movie, but any song could play in any movie, so,
Right.
All right, Emerald.
In any movie. For sure.
Not in any movie, but
Well, no, I know what you mean though. But like you walk into like a club scene and you need a club song for the background, or it's the moment where like the character all of a sudden like
what I mean.
starts walking and you need the right song.
That's exactly what I mean. That is not the film score, but it's part of the soundtrack for the film. So that's how I differentiate it. Or if you have like we're driving on the road and we have a song running in the radio, so that is
in the radio,
music that is heard by the actual characters of the movie. This is where you then have at the end of the movie you have credits. Maybe this is actually interesting if I explain this real quick. So you have the credits running in a movie, and you see music by, or original score by, original music by, and then a composer. So this is the music that runs for most of the film. And then you have individual song credits, which is individual short pieces of music which ran across like inside the movie in certain places. So for example, you have your Lion King movie. You're gonna see music by whoever,
Elton John.
Elton John is credited for some of the songs, but not for the score, because Elton John did not write the score. That's the difference. So Elton John wrote some of the songs, like he wrote, I don't know what he wrote, I don't know. So there's a couple of songs within the movie that are credited individually, but then there's also the score, which is sort of the identity of the movie. So you have the songs and you have the movie. So that's the difference. All right, I'm sorry, Emerald.
Okay. I actually really like this. This is like I've heard some of your tracks before, and I think this is my favorite one. It's definitely really unique and also not repetitive like at all. That's what like the curators or the judges, I don't know what are we called on this stream. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, because we're not really judging. I keep saying. I would agree. I see Blaze size like saying maybe not, but I would agree that this is definitely not repetitive, especially when you add the vocals on top. It's repetitive, like all music is, just like a drum beat is very repetitive because they're supposed to be. But once you add the vocals, will distract you from anything that's repetitive right now. But I don't know. That's an argument for another day. I don't know.
All right. Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. For like the last few submissions, I was saying like it was like they were a bit repetitive. This one's not like pretty much every 10-15 seconds you were switching out all of the instruments for new stuff, and I really like that. But for like some feedback, I guess some stuff you can like tweak. it sounded like a lot of the sounds, I guess, were kind of like loops. Like I could hear them kind of like cutting off, I guess. Like to the general listener, I guess, like someone just passively listening, they won't notice that. But like I don't know. Just some like stuff you could change, maybe like add a bit more like transitions to it, like
Yeah.
like the white noise transitions and stuff like that kind of stuff. You can add some of those in the transitions. And the mix, I found I think it's kind of like missing a little bit of mid frequencies. I guess like tiny bit of EQing would be good for that.
Yeah. I can hear that.
Yeah, like the low end and the high end were very good. They were clean. And then just an idea I had. I like the end where it was kind of like just the cinematic drums and a few instruments. I feel like it could have used like an 808 sort of thing there. Like I thought I thought that would have sounded cool. It's just an idea. And also, so I know this was an instrumental. You're like planning on adding vocals. Basically, I always think when I'm making like pop instrumentals, like kind of contrast between sounds, like make stuff sound very big and reverby, and then kind of when the chorus comes in, make it like not reverb or like very closed in. Like one of the techniques people use for that is reverb automation. This is just a suggestion, by the way, on like when you add your vocals. So like basically you add a lot of reverb in some spaces and use automation to manually cut that out to sort of add like a build up without using, I guess, the white noise risers and impacts and stuff that I was telling you about earlier. That's just a suggestion, and overall I'd give this like a 9 out of 10. This is really good.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed it too.
yeah. All right. Radium.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
I will start by saying you did an amazing job with that track, and seeing that the only name that shows up in the credits is yours, and you did all of that. Really, really a very good job. Like it's not even an improvement. It's the utopia when you compare to the track last week. That was just best to be forgotten. We will not talk about Voldemort. Anyway, yeah, that track was really good. I agree with everyone. Classic, dark pop. Like just the instrumental, you knew the vibe of the song. You definitely it's hard to judge in instrumental pop track because you need the vocals, you need there's so many other elements to judge. But just the instrumental, it sounded really, really good. It wasn't repetitive, and usually in pop, the repetition doesn't matter 100% because there's so many other elements to focus on. But your instrumental was really good, and yeah, you can do your music on your own. You don't need 1,000 people to do the job for you. It's becoming a quote unquote trend to have singers do the whole work by themselves. It's something that people really love too. You don't need, I'm not saying don't go get them, but like you don't need 1,000 people. Um if I could offer advice or tips for the kind of vocals, um I don't see a powerhouse singer on this type of genre, at least without a lot of mixing. I really don't see someone like Demi Lovato or Ariana Grande, or singers with strong voices. I don't see it personally. It's not a track. I feel like it's a track that demands very soft vocals, something very simple, but on the softer side. Billie Eilish, for example, definitely.
Yeah.
I heard your phone.
Oh, I didn't answer it. I muted it. Oh, I didn't know why you stopped. I was like, and no.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, if you know a singer whose vocals are soft, I think it
You
will
say it
work.
like whisper style. No, I don't
Yeah,
think. I think we all
almost
heard something a
whisper
little different.
style.
Okay, I could hear that too, but honestly, like towards the end, they need to kind of go off a little bit, like not overboard, but there was so much room at the end for like a vocal performance because it was kind of theatrical in a sense, or but
Yeah, but
soft
even
to
then,
leading up to that. You know what I mean? Like, it would be
yeah,
nice.
but even then, there will be like so much mixing to go into it. You don't necessarily need
Right.
someone to go full riffs and runs and stuff because there will be like a lot of vocal mixing. And even then, someone who has soft vocals can do all of that at the same time.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like I would recommend a softer kind of
Yeah.
singer tone, but definitely if someone else wants to try and you can be creative with the vocal mixing and stuff, definitely try something else. But yeah, good job. And I mean, I don't know, look at this track. You can do it all on your own. Like you don't need to hire 1,000 people.
No, I mean a collab for fun every once in a while. If you really find someone you want to work with, y'all do a collab together. But really, like do the equal part of work and then show it off together. But if you're gonna finish this, you need to add vocals. Is what we're all talking though. Vocals, vocals, vocals. So I would be excited to hear what you do after you add the vocals. So please submit it
Me too,
again when
me
it's
too.
ready. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay. So, shall we move on to our next submission?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So, our next submission is going to be Song for a Friend by Miro Lutz. Have fun. All right, that was "Song for a Friend" by Miro Lutz. All right, what did you what did you guys think? What did you think, Geld?
Lovely track. 1 second, let me turn down the YouTube volume. I started hearing everything on repeat. Okay, lovely track. That was also refreshing. I don't know. That's another thing to think about here before I give feedback. Is this is not a genre I listen to a lot. I keep saying, I listen to electronic music. Now, growing up, I listened to pretty much everything. My earliest ages of even getting into music, I was obsessed with classical music and pretending I was playing it on the piano. I'd keep the power off and I'd play the keyboard. And I'd play along with the thing. And then I fell in love with it. And I played clarinet in school, and I used to try to write music on staff paper and stuff like that with my band nerd friends and stuff. And I love all music. And then I started playing in punk rock bands, played guitar, and I really fell in love with punk rock through like the 2000s and stuff. And the emo stuff going up. And then I got into electronic music when I discovered Deadmau5 and Skrillex and Cascade and stuff like that. And I totally went another direction and started listening to electronic music. And that's pretty much what I've been listening to since, but I kind of still listen to everything. But I appreciate all music. But what I say about that is, as Blake giving an outside perspective on electronic music and saying, there needs to be more. It's something to think about, because even for someone that doesn't listen to this music here, when I hear this, I know it's good. You know what I mean? Like, I know this is good. There's things that could be said about the MIDI note style piano playing, like you need to humanize certain parts, and there's things to be said about just kind of, I don't know, maybe or maybe not. People get lost in this track because it kind of goes on and on. There's a lot of like licks, as Minty was saying, and runs and stuff. It just kind of goes on and on, which is nice for just background music and piano and jazz clubs and stuff like that, I would think. But I know this is nice, even though I don't listen too much of it. But I can't critique it too much based on if I was listening to this as closely as I listen to the electronic charts. If I was listening to the latest and the greatest in this genre, would it be as good? I don't know. I'm not hearing what to listen for necessarily. I know it sounds good though. I know this is a good piece of music. I enjoy it when I hear this stuff. That's why sometimes I turn on different genres for background music, something that's not something I'm going to like analyze because it's electronic music. I'm going to sit there and overanalyze. I turn on just good music in the background to play jazz music or whatever. I'll tell my little smart speaker to play some smooth jazz or play some classical or play some soundtrack music or whatever I might say to it, just to have background music. That's something that I don't make myself, but something that I enjoy listening to. So good job on making an enjoyable piece of music. I won't be able to give you much more critique on that. I did notice, I think the piano kind of loses its human feel when you're walking up and down, walking like they are. I don't know what the terms are, but kind of doing arpeggios when every note kind of hits the same. Not exactly. I can tell there's some humanizing in there, but maybe not enough mistakes like a human would make or something. I don't know. Maybe not. But really enjoyed it. And is that a fake apple in the picture, or is that a real apple with just a white background? I'll pass it over to Blayhub.
All right. So, I'm going to talk mainly about, I don't know if it's fake apple. It looks, I don't know. I haven't decided
looks like
yet.
it was taken out of IKEA.
May just be the one apple the photographer found in their lifetime. No, okay. So I'm gonna focus a bit on. First of all, I liked it a lot. I'm gonna focus a bit on the things on the way this could be improved. In terms of sound, in terms of mainly the dynamics and how the MIDI is programmed for the piano. You've already did a bunch of things. I think it needs more, especially with dynamics. Here's the thing. So I bought a harpsichord. And it's a lovely instrument. Love it a lot. Here's one thing you really start to appreciate about pianos when you play on a harpsichord. I'm not saying harpsichords are bad, but so for those that don't know how harpsichord works, you have strings that get plucked by what's called a plectra, which is in this case a plastic piece, but it used to be made out of quills, out of the ends of a bird's feathers. So the key, you press down the key, which is just like on any keyboard instrument. It would lift up what's called a jack with the thing in it that would flick the string, basically, would like pluck it. So you have no controls over the dynamics, over the volume. So the volume is consistent no matter how hard you press on the key. On a piano, that is exactly how it doesn't work, because on a piano, depending on how hard you press on the key, basically, changes the amplitude and the sound quality of the sound. So with piano, this is where the piano forte has been great, which is basically the first piano like this with like hammer piano that was invented. That was the main point, was to give pianists, or in that case, where harpsichordists and so keyboard musicians basically more control over the dynamics. So piano is incredibly expressive with the dynamics, and I think it needs way more variety like that, way more dynamics. So you could you have everything sort of plotted around the middle, sort of thing, a bit louder, a bit quieter here and there, a bit softer, a bit harder. It's not really about loudness only. It's also about sound quality. I think you could like really exaggerate that. So have moments that are really like quiet and low down, and then really give it, when you have one of these licks, you could really like da 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 da. You could really give this emotion with the dynamics. So that's one thing, how you could give this way more life, because it sounds very static and very sort of like in the middle, sort of trying to hide, but also be there a little bit. So go out more with that. And then what you also could do to add more realism is something you've probably noticed, and something I noticed when I listen to program pianos, which is something that's really annoying to me, is I hear this this explosion of sound when you have a chord. It's because it's every sound at the same time. Bah! And it's like a popping sound. The chord pops at you. And it sounds mechanical and unnatural, and the reason is just that it happens at the same time. Whereas in real life, there's so many variables that go into how the mechanics work and how they react, physics and stuff. You don't press exactly at the same time. So of course it's a really tiny detail, but if you add in sort of if you program into the MIDI the physics of how you'd press down the keys, and you sort of slide them around just a little bit, like literally just, the smallest entity that you can slide the MIDI notation around in your DAW for a chord, it'll not be so instant. It won't be so poppy, so bah, So you have like Gil said, like a roll, but not but still fast, but it'll have this. It'll have a very slight, subtle difference in the tonal quality of that when the sound is generated, and that is something I always do with my piano piece, and that's what makes them sound so real. I have a lot of dynamics, very loud and very quiet, and I also have these. You could call them slight imperfections in when the keys are actually hit. And that is what adds a lot of realism and a lot of heart and emotion to music like that. And it's not just about faking it to sound real, but also thinking about the improvisation of that, the human aspects of that. So what I'll often do is slow down a bit or speed up a bit where there's emotional moments. So instead of having the lick you have in there, just be a static da 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 da. I'll da 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 da. I'll give it some variation in the speed as well. So really put in that really you know what I mean. Anyway.
Right. I know what you mean. I mean, I can hear it. Like it's neat when you're really playing an instrument, how when you can rush a part or lay back on a part, and then because you're going to line back up on the important accented note.
Yeah.
And that kind of off-grid playing is what makes a human, a good soulful player, as Miro knows, because he plays a real instrument.
I just want to reply to one quick thing I saw in the chat, because Minty said that that's why I love Lab's soft piano. It automatically humanizes the chords without the hassle of sliding the MIDI. I don't like that, because that is talking about randomization. whereas I'm talking about something you have direct influence over. So this is about improvisation, not improvisation, about interpretation. So this is about how you interpret this. This can't happen by algorithmically or by just randomly, adding these delays. I'd want full control over that.
It is nice to have the more of the control. Yeah, but I mean, to use something that kind of gets you closer, if that's all you got. But if you go in, you start hearing it. Even when you move, like what you were saying, like the smallest little increment, and you move one of them over, you'll hear when one of them should be moved back a little bit, or one of them should be moved a little farther and stuff. And you really start dialing it in the air for what, or turn down, turn up, and stuff like that. And you can really add those on purpose mistakes, kind of is what they are, but not really. Because it's like what Blaze said. When you're playing the piano, you're not hitting them all at the same time. But to take into consideration, you're also not perfectly rolling every time either. You're sometimes hitting two at the same time, but the other ones are a little off. And sometimes you're striking. It's just that extra human feel. And you can't just do it randomly because, again, what I was saying, it comes from the feeling of the song. You got to feel the song, and then that's why you play a certain way. And so just really feel the groove of the track and feel when it's appropriate to delay a note maybe. And so, I mean, and that's what Blaze's saying is the actual chords themselves split the notes up a little bit, so it's more of a flam, if you would think of like in drum or something like that. It's not just a single attack; it's multiple little attacks making up a more lush hit in a sense. Anyways, let's.
Okay, yeah.
Were you done? Pass it over to Emerald. Yeah.
Okay, so first things first, I refuse to believe that that's a real apple. It's got the little leaf on it and everything.
Thank
They come from trees. They come from trees.
Yeah, but
of course it's gonna have a leaf on it.
Well, it's got like the one little leaf that like
a picture perfect apple.
Okay.
You want to take a bite of that if someone
Yeah,
I think it's the background makes it look really fake, and maybe it's photoshopped a little leaf on there.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, so about this song, I really like this. So I used to be in band for like a few years, and I had a small taste for like jazz and classical music and all of that. This was good. This was a good piece. Like, I don't like all jazz, and like sometimes I'll like be passively listening and be like, oh, this is good, oh, this is bad. This was good. So basically it sounds like really good, except the only problem I have with it is I could tell it was sort of MIDI and not like live recorded or anything, because all of the notes were like at the same velocity, playing at the same time, or like at exact times. So basically, like, I just changed the velocity of all of the notes, like literally just like in FL, it's as simple as like clicking around in the little bar on the bottom of the MIDI track. And you could just like mess around with the velocity. And if you use FL, I think you might, Miro. I think I've seen you use FL before. There's like a strum tool. If you go to the in the MIDI panel, if you go to the little like wrench icon, there should be a strum thing, and that would like vary the start points of the MIDI there, and that kind of gives it more of like a real vibe. But like, I'd say like it sounds like 90% real, because like the instruments you use are really good.
What was that? I'm like, wait, where is that coming from?
That's me disagreeing.
Play it. A balloon was leaking air.
In my opinion, yeah, it definitely the instruments sound very real, but like
they're good instruments.
If you listen closely, you can tell that they're fake.
That's pretty.
So like, just kind of do those two things to kind of bring it more to life. And then the only other
don't do it with the strum tool.
Oh, see, that's what kind of like what Minty was saying too, like automatic tools. No, I mean, it's kind of like the point that Minty was making too, and Blade was going back and forth on, like the automatically doing it can ultimately come off very robotic too, because everyone's like exactly the same. You kind of want to, or randomizers where you don't have full control over it, because sometimes the randomizer is going to do something bad. So you got to take full control is the best way. But yeah, I see what you're saying. The strum tool gets you closer to that sound.
Yeah, and then the only other problem I really had with it was that the percussion was kind of very repetitive. I'd say kind of just like spice it up, like take some elements out of it every once in a while during the song, and you will be good to go. So for this, I'd say like 9 out of 10 is very good. Just like those two main things. And yeah, Radium, what do you gotta say?
First of all, my introduction will be your apple is fake.
It's a fake apple, bro.
And I'm sure
just play it. I was on the side of it being real, but now I'm taking the other side. It's fake.
It's a
How
fake
dare
apple. That bitch had plastic surgery. She's fake.
I'm playing. I don't
anyway.
know. It's photoshopped.
It has to be fake. Come on, the leaf looks like plastic. Anyways, fuck the apple. Yes, I liked your track. I got distracted. I really liked your track. It was it was a good jazz kind of track. I really liked it. However, I did go back and re-listen to it a little bit, and I do agree with everyone else's feedback. I feel like it could use, personally, I feel like the main thing it could use is definitely some form of humanizing, so it could really, like the way it is, like I feel like the way it is right now works, but I do feel like it would need something to make it seem a bit more human, because I feel like more humanity means more emotions, and the emotions will also be better transported to whoever's listening. So I have no idea how you're going to be able to do this on your DAW. I don't know, but I feel like, to me personally, that's like the main point. But otherwise, I really liked it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your saxophone mixed in with it or something, or it doesn't have, there's always room for that, I think, since you're a saxophone player. Cool. Was that the last track, Blay?
Yeah, I'm just doing some research on fake apples right now.
Oh my
God.
I think this apple is actually real.
Can you tell by the leaf?
No, look. So first of all, it's not Photoshop. It's not Photoshop because all of the light sources, the reflections, everything, they're correct. It could, it could be a 3D render. Actually, it could be a 3D render. Wait.
Okay. Wait, the light's coming down. The shadow seems to be coming forward, but the light seems to be shining.
No, the lighting
on
is
the
accurate. The lighting is accurate. It's cut out. The background is, of course, unrealistic. That makes no sense. It's clearly photoshopped in some ways, but I think it's a natural apple, because there's some things there that I don't think would be replicated for the fake sort of wax fruit kind of thing. First of all, the lighting looks correct, so the shininess of the actual surface of the leaf and of the apple, they look accurate. Also, the difference in the shininess of those, and if you notice at the shadow part on the leaf, there is like this vertical, this horizontal line of light. If you look at the bottom of that on the left side of the leaf, you have some imperfections in the surface area. And I think it could be simulated, of course. But to me, this looks like it is not fake. It's just in a very, very soft lighting.
Definitely agree. Use a very soft lighting.
You can actually, in the apple, you can see a large softbox there. There's the shape of a rectangular white softbox. So I think it's just very soft lighting on a white backdrop. They edited out some parts where it probably got darker. They edited a lot of with color correction and grading. But I think the apple is real. It's just not depicted in a natural way.
Totally. I would say for future apples, Miro, you should add more of a background to it, and that would bring more life to the apple itself.
No, I'm too fake, okay? That apple is like an Instagram influencer, all fake.
Oh yeah, Photoshop.
There's some
Yes.
retouching going on.
And there's
for
young
sure.
apples looking up to this apple, judging themselves based on this apple. I just want you to know that you're harming
Look,
other
I've
apples'
had
notions.
apples with a leaf on them. It's like it
The leaf, no,
happens.
the leaf was never
you
that
body
big. It
shaming
was a
the
big ass
apple?
You're
leaf.
body tapping other apples.
It's a big leaf.
I think it's a real apple in an unnatural situation.
Right. That's a metaphor for life, everybody.
Unnatural environment, yeah.
This got really deep.
Okay.
All right. So, I don't know why we just did a review on the apple itself, but you know, it's part of the song at this point. Song for a friend. Who's the friend? Maybe that's for Blay. All right, so that was our stream, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Real quick, just remember that the results for the producer battle will be posted soon, and then there will be a following remix competition. Not to steal attention away from the other competitions going on, which is our lyric competition number 3, and Blayhub has some exciting competition coming up. So stay tuned for that. Minty misses the friend, he says. Nice.
All right.
Cool. We'll see y'all next Friday. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.